CTV News with Sean Grech.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Breaking news out of British Columbia. A Canadian Forces Snowbird jet has crashed into a house in Kamloops.
Whoa. Show off.
It's crashed.
What?
He just crashed.
Oh my God.
The Kamloops airport says emergency crews are responding to the crash, which happened around 11:40 a.m. local time. Video shows two snowbirds taking off, with one appearing to turn back. The pilot can be seen ejecting from the plane as it goes into a dive and disappears. A witness at the scene says the plane crashed into a nearby home and was engulfed in flames. So far, there has been no official word on the pilot's condition. Ontario will not reopen schools for the rest of the school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ford government saying the safety of children is their top priority. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's been widely expected for weeks, and today the province made it official. Students are not heading back to class, which means e-learning will continue for the foreseeable future. CTV's Colin DeMello has the details. Municipalities across the region are closely tracking the COVID-19 outbreak. Late this afternoon, Simcoe County declared an emergency, just one day after Tiny Township announced its emergency.
Absolutely, it's extraordinary times, and this is a worldwide pandemic.
Simcoe County turning many of its offices and facilities into no-go zones.
For the safety of the public and our staff, we have closed our archives, we have closed the museum, we've restricted public access to our administration building here, we have shut down our landfill sites, and we have canceled all large gatherings, council and committee meetings as well.
Hoping the public will use alternative methods.
Those services and or to find that information, that would be online and or the telephone. Our service Simcoe will still be operating. Operators will be there to take calls.
What this pandemic won't affect is essential services like emergency response, curbside garbage collection, and social services.
We recognize that we have a very vulnerable population in the county of Simcoe.
The city of Barrie has also shut down offices and city-run facilities to curb the spread of COVID-19. It also created two separate task forces, one focusing on economic support.
Can we help businesses move online? Can we help promote local businesses online? If you are in a sector providing a product that can be delivered.
And the other on social support.
If they have nowhere to go to self-isolate, how are we going to assist those people?
Mayor Liebman says he has not received a recommendation from its emergency control group to declare a COVID-19 emergency in Barrie, adding if it's necessary and beneficial, he'll do it. Sean Grech, CTV News. An OPP police cruiser is pulled over at 9th Line at Highway 89 in Essa Township. Within minutes, a garbage truck signals to move over to the left lane, but fails to do so.
He drove right past the door of Constable Tiasco's cruiser. So I turned and stopped him. You stayed in the right-hand lane. Is there some reason why you didn't move over?
A choice that left the garbage truck operator facing a steep penalty.
So that has a $400 fine to it, and it also has 3 demerit points.
It wasn't long before Sergeant Steele pulled over this minivan for doing the exact same thing.
That driver's probably just not paying attention. And again, I had to deal with him the same way as the garbage truck driver.
Officers with the Nottawasaga OPP detachment recently nabbed 10 drivers on Highway 89 within a 2-hour period, charging them for failing to move over a lane while passing an emergency vehicle.
It's a very disturbing trend in that all of my officers, tow truck drivers, firemen that I know, as well as paramedics, are noticing that vehicles just aren't moving over when they're on the side of the road with their lights on.
Ontario's move over law came into effect 17 years ago, but officers and other first responders are shocked it's not sinking in with drivers.
If people don't move over as the law states that they should, we're at risk.
A risk this tow truck operator in Barrie says he can relate to.
They honk at us like we're in the way. We didn't ask for them to break down there, and nor did we want to even be there. We want to get in and get out.
The kind of catastrophic outcome tow truck operators and emergency crews hope can be avoided by making sure drivers know moving over is the law. Sean Grech, CTV News, Essa Township.
I just want you to know that you are loved.
It's a simple gesture that's having an enormous ripple effect.
I'm so blown away with how many people have gotten on board.
Get Well cards with words of encouragement for people combating addiction. A growing project championed by Barrie City Councillor Natalie Harris that's heading to the nation's capital. Tomorrow, MPs will make their own cards.
I think the most impactful thing will be the signature even. Who is it from? This is coming from Parliament Hill.
For several months, Councillor Harris has been sharing her campaign with students at local schools and area businesses. She's also spreading the word on Instagram. Hundreds of cards have been made and delivered to local shelters, hospitals, and treatment centers. A crusade to break down stigma surrounding addictions that hits close to home. Harris struggled with addiction after being diagnosed with PTSD while working as a paramedic.
I remember when I was in treatment myself years ago, I always thought, wouldn't it be so nice to get a Get Well card if you were here?
And it didn't take long for Barrie Innisfil MP and former firefighter John Brassard to get on board.
I think it's extremely important, these types of messages of support coming from leaders in this country, to let people know that they're not alone. And that really is the basis of what Natalie has attempted to do here. And again, I'm very, very pleased to help her out in Ottawa.
120 MPs will make their own cards tomorrow afternoon. They will then be delivered across Canada, serving as a beacon of light for those struggling with addiction. Sean Grech, CTV News, Barrie. Some active weather is moving across our region. Environment Canada has issued severe thunderstorm warnings for Simcoe County, Grey Bruce, and Cottage Country. A severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for York Region. Heavy rain and strong wind gusts are expected this evening. And right now in Barrie, we're sitting at 24 degrees with a wind in from the southeast at 19 kilometers an hour. As we look at the temperatures around the rest of the region, 24 degrees in Gravenhurst, 20 in the Sunshine City, 26 in Alliston, 27 in Collingwood, but feeling much warmer than that with the Humidex. And on the satellite radar, the heavy rain expected around 8 tonight, which means visibility may be reduced while driving, and ponding water on roads is also possible. A full look at the forecast is coming up later in the newscast. The weather story tonight is all about getting through the cold conditions that we're experiencing, and the snow possibly on the way for tomorrow. But then after that, things are starting to look up. How could you resist amazing baked goods? And that is the theme for Picture This week, is your baking creations during the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to see what you're up to and how you're keeping busy, and of course the delicious food that you're making. So please send us your photos to picturethis@ctv.ca. And with that, we're going to go to KC back in the garden. And KC, you have a look at the long range forecast, and I see no jacket today. Well, that is our newscast this Wednesday. I'm Sean Grech. Thanks for being here with us. I will have your next newscast live at 11. Good night and stay safe.